motion that will be moved by the Tana River Senator Honorable Danson Mungatana. If you're just joining us, is that the House is about to commence its business. Time allocated for the commencement of House business is 2:30, but on your screens, those are members still making their way into the chambers. Once the Speaker, with his procession, makes his way into the chambers, then the House will, without any further delay, start its business. That is, if the quorum is achieved. That is the entrance of the chambers. Members are needed to make their way to the House. Remember, once the prayer is said and the chair is taken, the House needs to have attained a required number of members present, that is the quorum. And if that quorum is not present, then a bell will be rung, but we hope that quorum is achieved. Already we can see members in the chambers. But we will be looking for at least 15 members. More members are making their way into the chambers. Back to the business that the members, once they commence the business, will be transacting pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 53, paragraph 1. With regards to questions and statements, the Senator for Migori County, Honorable Eddie Okech, will this afternoon seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations, and this is with regards to the clashes between the Kuria and Maasai communities along the border of Migori and Narok counties. This is a statement that the Honorable Member for Migori County, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 53.1, will be seeking this particular statement, of course, from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations. That is the entrance to the chambers of the Senate. Members have already made their way into the chambers. And as you can see, that is the procession of the Senate Speaker. That is the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, making his way into the chambers, Honorable Katuri Murungi. He will be presiding over this afternoon sitting. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. Good afternoon.
Tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Twakuomba utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Do you have quorum? Certainly, do you have quorum? If not, you ring the Sergeant at Arms, ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
The prayer has been said and the chair taken. However, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 39 and 40, at the commencement of House business, once the prayer is said and the chair taken, at least 15 members are needed to be present inside the chambers for the House to be deemed to have achieved the required quorum or number of members present for the House to commence its business. But that quorum clearly has not been achieved yet. A look at the screens that is inside the chambers. Those are countable members. However, at the entrance of the chambers, I can see more members are making their way into the chambers. So in a while, I believe we will have achieved that required quorum. And the business will, without any further delay, commence. Back to what the members will be transacting this afternoon, the 20th day of February, is that there are bills that have debate on it, or rather, or debate on them have been concluded. 3 bills lined up for consideration at the division stage. One of the bills is the Public Fundraising Appeals Bill. This is a bill that has been sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader. On your screens, that is the Majority Chief Whip, Honorable Boni Halwale, also the Senator for Kakamega County. At this point, the leadership of the House is expected to whip members to be able to get into the chambers, of course, to allow the House attain that required quorum for the House to commence its business. The allocated time for House sitting is 2:30. Can also see the clerk inside the chamber, counting on the numbers of members who are inside to see whether that quorum has been achieved. Once it's achieved, I will be able to hand it back for you to follow on the proceedings. The Public Fundraising Appeals Bill, a bill originating from the Senate, is a bill that seeks to provide for establishment of regulatory mechanisms at the national and county levels which oversee the conduct of fundraising appeals, to provide for the licensing and regulation of fundraisers, the promotion of transparency and accountability in the conduct of fundraising appeals. Well, allow me to hand you over.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honourable Senators. Honourable Senators, we have a visiting council members from the Africa Quorum of Legal Council of Parliaments. Honourable Senators, Honourable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation of council members from the Africa Quorum of Legal Council to Parliaments. The delegation is attending the Dundee meeting of the Council of the Africa Quorum. Honourable Senators, the Africa Quorum, I don't know whether it's the right pronunciation of Legal Council of Parliaments, is an organization that brings together legal council serving in parliaments in Africa at both the national and subnational levels. The objectives of the Quorum are to provide a forum principally for interaction and interlinkage between legal council serving the parliaments of legal services and capacity building. The Parliament of Kenya holds the Secretariat of the Africa Quorum of Legal Council to Parliaments, with the Clerk of the Senate, Mr. Jeremiah Nyegenye, CBS, being the patron to the Quorum, and Director, Legal Services of the Senate, Dr. Johnson Okero, OGW, being the Secretary General of the Council. Honourable Senators, I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that you may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. 1, Ms. Sena Asu, President of the Quorum and Council in the Parliament of Ghana. Mr. Sap Ntanda, Vice President of the Quorum Council in the Parliament of Uganda. Mr. Hamad Fales, Director, Litigation and Legal Council, Parliament of Libya. Mr. J. Lassam, Deputy Director, Office of Law Clerk, Parliament of Sierra Leone. Ms. Tosco Ngumeze, Legislative Drafter, Parliament of Eswatini. And Dr. Abdulkadir Hashim, who is the translator. Honorable Senators, on our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Next one. Okay. I'm trying to get a legal counsel here and not Senator Sifuna, somebody else. I can see you have no competition in matters law. Who? Senator Nduro, where is she? Okay, fine. Take you 1 minute to welcome the visitors.
What's happening? Sorry, we apologize for that hitch in the system. Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to welcome my colleagues in law of the colloquium of legal counsel in parliaments across the continent. I have had a brother from Uganda, our neighbor, Libya, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and of course, you know, Honorable Speaker, I am the Senate's permanent representative to the Parliament of Eswatini. So I want to take this opportunity. I want to take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker. I say that because you, Honorable Speaker, took me along when we went for the meeting of various parliaments and their leaderships in Eswatini. And that is where I was given that honorary title. And I challenge anybody who wants to challenge me as in that position to rise up and stake their claim. But welcome to Kenya. Of course, I'm sure you followed the debate about what has happened in the African Union. We thank all of your countries for the support that you accorded Kenya in that election. And we hope that we can make our relationships as African brothers and sisters even closer. So you're welcome. I am the Senator of Nairobi. This is a city where we are in. Feel free to also enjoy and sample the hospitality of Nairobi, which I can assure you is quite as nice as the capitals. Kampala is not too bad, but I am sure Nairobi has a few things that might surprise you, my brother. So you're welcome and God bless you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Senator representing the capital city of Nairobi. Honorable Senators, we have another visiting group, visiting lecturers and students from the Kenya Medical Training College, KMTC, Imenti campus in Meru County. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, a visiting lecturer and students from the Kenya Medical Training College, KMTC, Imenti campus in Meru County. The delegation comprises 1 lecturer and 25 students who are in the Senate for a 1-day academic exposition. In our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Honorable Senators, you know this is a campus in Meru County, South Imenti constituency, which I was the member of parliament. And I'm very proud I'm the one who started this campus 2 or 3 years ago. So I really want to welcome these students and wish them well. But I will give my neighbor, the other side, Senator Kenywa, to do it for me better when you are there. I will give you 2 minutes because of that advantage I have to sit here.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Kwanza kabisa nataka kuchukua fursa hii kuwakaribisha wanafunzi ambao wanasomea matibabu pamoja na mhadhiri walioandamana na yeye. Jambo la kwanza, tungependa kuchukua fursa hii kushukuru spika wetu kwa sababu aliona manufaa ya kuanzisha masomo ya matibabu na akaanzisha chuo hiki. Ni vizuri siku ya leo wameweza kutembea hapa ndio waweze kuona vile majadiliano yanafanywa katika bunge la Seneti, na nataka kuwakaribisha na niwaambie mambo ya matibabu ni mambo ambayo yamepewa kipao mbele katika Jamhuri ya Kenya, kwa sababu bila matibabu itakuwa ni kazi bure. Kwa hivyo mimi changamoto ambayo ningependa kuwapatia ni ya kwamba mtie masomo mbele na muendelee na kazi nzuri hii ambayo mnaifanya. Na sio hiyo tu, hata mkiwa mnasomea matibabu, tungependa kuambia mnaweza kuwa viongozi kama wale walioko hapa, na vile ambavyo spika alivyofanya, alitaka ninyi muwe na yale maono na mawazo mazuri ya kuweza kuwatibu Wakenya wote. Kwa hivyo mimi ni kuwatakia mema wakati mko hapa, mkiona mijadala inavyoendelea katika seneti hii, na mkienda nyumbani huko Meru, mseme hata sisi hapa tunamuenzi na tunampenda spika wetu. Na mkifika huko mseme hata sisi tumekubali spika chochote anachotaka. Sisi tumempatia mamlaka hapa, na nyinyi mkienda huko mmuombee na chochote kataka nyinyi mpatie. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Senator Kenyu. Senator Okiya Omtata, can you resume your seat? I have something for you. I want to address you. Honorable Senators, I have a communication to make on substantiation of facts that are Senator alleges to be true. And this is Senator Okiya Omtata. Honorable Senators, as you may recall, at the afternoon sitting of the Senate held yesterday, Wednesday, 19 February 2025, the temporary Speaker, Senator Veronica Maina, MP, directed Senator Okoiti Andrew Omtata, MP, to substantiate utterances made in the course of debate following interventions pursuant to Standing Order 105.1. In the course of the debate by Senator Omtata, MP, Senator Ngonfulio Sosi, CBS MP, rose on a point of order requesting for the intervention of the Speaker for Senator Omtata, MP, to substantiate the claim that, this I quote, that is why the Janjaweed can be given an office in Nairobi at the whims of an individual, and he claimed that the people of Kenya have welcomed the Janjaweed to come and run its genocidal government from Nairobi. End of quotes. In the point of order, Senator Sosi MP said, I quote, I think it is important for us to be told more about this Janjaweed. I, as a representative of the people, I would like to know more about that. Have these people opened an office in Kenya? The point of honor by Senator Sosi MP was supported by Senator Andy Okech MP. It was also sought intervention of the chair for Senator Omtata MP to substantiate the allegation and give clarity on whether the Janjaweed militia and established an office in Kenya. Honorable Senators, Standing Order 105 provides, and I quote, a senator shall be responsible for the accuracy of any facts that the senator alleges to be true and may be required to substantiate any such facts instantly. And two, if a senator has sufficient reason to convince the Speaker that the senator is unable to substantiate the allegations instantly, the Speaker shall require that such a senator substantiates the allegations not later than the next sitting day, failure to which the senator shall be deemed to be disorderly within the meaning of Standing Order 121, disorderly conduct. Unless the senator withdraws the allegations and gives a suitable apology if the Speaker so requires. So Senator Omtata MP was not able to substantiate his statements pursuant to Standing Order 1051 and subsequently walked out of the chamber. His exit from the chamber denied him an opportunity to make a request pursuant to Standing Order 1052. Subsequently, the Speaker then directed that Senator Omtata MP, although he had exited the chamber, was required to table evidence as raised in the point of order by Senator Ososi MP and as supported by Senator Okech MP. Honorable Senators, pursuant to the directions above, I now invite Senator Okoiti Andrew Omtata MP to forthwith substantiate his claims, failure to which the Senator shall be deemed to be disorderly within the meaning of Standing Order 121. In the absence of such substantiation, the Senator will be required to withdraw the statements and apologize to the Senate. Thank you. Senator Okoiti Omtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for the opportunity to address the House. It's the mark of ultimate shame that from the chair, you can pronounce a record that is not correct. Senator Khalwale contributed, you have not mentioned him. Senator Chereregei contributed, you have not mentioned him. You are giving us a sanitized version of events, and it's not that I failed to substantiate, but the House was unable to keep up with what I was saying. I gave a URL, a universal resource locator, to the information I had given. We have been given these iPads. We have got screens in this House. The taxpayer has invested a lot of money. Substantiation does not have to be by paper. Once I give a URL, it's up to the individual senators and the clerks to access the information that I've referred to through the Universal Resource Locator. And it's shameful that you can stand there, Mr. Speaker, sir, and read a sanitized version of events. Very many senators contributed to that motion. And unless you give a correct record of what happened, I'm not going to be invited into that murky bubble in which you want this House to exist. I will not. I was not disorderly. I did substantiate, and I'm not responsible for the incapacity of anyone to access the internet. The taxpayer cannot give us gadgets in this House, invest a lot of money, and we are unable to use them. If they don't give us, we complain we don't have. We are given, we can't use. So what are we dealing with? Let us shape up. Let us wake up.
So
let us govern this country.
Have you substantiated?
Can you get
That
the correct?
is the opportunity
if you
have
get
now
the
to do
correct
that.
record, I'm not taking an opportunity to mess up my record. Let's give us a proper record of the Hansard. I gave a URL. I've not seen you refer to the URL. You can even go to YouTube and see what I said. A URL is a universal resource locator. It is supposed to be in the Hansard record. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Okoiti Omtata, you have used a very strange language to the chair.
I've gone to school.
So I request that you really substantiate that matter.
By
Can
doing
you
what?
sit down? Can you sit down? Do you know what you sent to the chair? What you have just sent? You know the chair does not stand in vain. I stood to make a communication to the Senate. And this communication is official. Right? So now you're asking me, it is shameful for the chair to stand. What do you want me to do? Because that is the tradition. The chair can only make a communication of standing. I have no option of sitting on the floor when making communication. I have no option of sitting. I should stand up and make communication. Can you first of all withdraw that? Just a minute.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think we should conduct proceedings in this House in mother tongue.
So what are you saying, Senator Mtata? Yes, Senator?
I'm just saying that you are misunderstanding me.
I will throw you out of this House, you know. You have no privilege to do whatever you want, Mr. Senator Mtata. You must respect the chair. I'm telling you, you have to. You have no option. Yes, Senator Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, with great respect, I think that we can guide each other here. On previous occasion where somebody has doubted the record that has been read out by the Speaker, our standing orders require that the entire Hansard be produced. Because if in the event the Senator argues that in fact he did provide material, the URL that he's referring to, I personally wasn't in the House. So perhaps, Speaker...
And you know, Senator Sifuna, yes. I did not even come to determine what to do.
Yes.
But I was raising the disrespect to the chair. That is what I've raised.
Very well.
Because I'm here also to safeguard the respect and the dignity of the House.
Very well understood.
Even I've not even come to determine what we should do with this.
Very well, Honorable Speaker. Very well understood.
And you can see it's not remorseful. I don't know. You are my friend, you know, but you are not remorseful. I've not given you that opportunity. I want to reason to Senator Enoch Wambua.
Mr. Speaker, I think we can do well by just bringing down our temperatures in the House. We are visitors, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, and just to regain the dignity of the House, I will humbly request that, Mr. Speaker, you continue the business that is before you. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let me take some time to check on something here on this URL that you provided, and I'll give some guidance later. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of this Senate today, the 20th of February, 2025. Being, Mr. Speaker, reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Laikipia County for the year ended 30th of June, 2024. 1. County Executive of Laikipia, County Assembly of Laikipia, County Revenue Fund, Receiver Revenue Statements, Laikipia County Revenue, County Assembly of Laikipia Car Loan and Mortgage for Members Scheme, Laikipia County Education Bursary Fund, Laikipia County Emergency Fund, Laikipia County State and Public Officers Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund, County Assembly of Laikipia Car Loan and Mortgage for Staff Scheme. 11, Laikipia County Development Authority, Laikipia County Cooperative Development Revolving Fund, Laikipia County Enterprise Fund, Laikipia County Leasing Fund, Laikipia County Business Stimulus Fund, Rumuruti Municipality, Nanyuki Municipality, Nanyuki Teaching and Referral Hospital, Dol Dol Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Nyahururu Water and Sanitation Company Limited, Nanyuki Water and Sanitation Company Limited, Laikipia County Financing Locally Led Climate Action Program for the year ended 30th of June 2023, and Mr. Speaker, reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Migori County, Migori County, for the year ended 30th of June 2024. County Executive of Migori, County Assembly of Migori, County Revenue Fund, Receiver of Revenue Statements, Migori County Executive Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Migori County Assembly Car Loan and Mortgage Fund, Migori County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Municipality of Rongo, Municipality of Awendo, Migori County Ward Development Fund, Migori County Climate Change Fund, Migori County Referral Hospital, Oyani Sub-County Hospital, Rongo Sub-County Hospital, Awendo Sub-County Hospital, Nyamaraga Sub-County Hospital, Kegonga Sub-County Hospital, Kehanja Sub-County Hospital, Makalda Sub-County Hospital, Muhuru Sub-County Hospital, Isbania Sub-County Hospital, Odoro Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Uriri Sub-County Hospital, and finally, Mr. Speaker, Migori County Water and Sanitation Company Limited. Mr. Speaker, I thank you, and I do lay the papers.
There is another paper to be read by Senator Aminda Kibwana, MP. Has anybody been given that assignment to do? Senator Okech.
Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of Senator Amida Kibwana, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 20th February 2025. Report of the Senate delegation to the High-Level Political Forum, HLPF 2024, on sustainable development held in New York, United States of America, from 8th to 17th July 2024. Thank you.
Okay. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
There is a motion by a notice to be given by the chair. Someone can do it for me. Senator Mboni Karwale, give notice of that motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for allowing me to give notice of your motion. The motion being reports of the 63rd and 64th sessions of the OACPS Parliamentary Assembly and the 43rd and 1st sessions of the ACPE EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly meetings held in Brussels, Belgium, and Luanda, Angola, respectively. That the Senate notes the reports of 1, the 63rd session of the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States Parliamentary Assembly, and the 43rd session of the African, Caribbean, and Pacific European Union Joint Parliamentary Assembly meetings that were held in Brussels, Belgium, from the 19th to the 28th of June of the year 2023. And 2, the 64th session of the Organization of African and Caribbean and Pacific States Parliamentary Assembly and the first session of the African, Caribbean and Pacific European Union Joint Parliamentary Assembly meetings that were held in Luanda, Angola, from the 17th to the 21st of February 2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday the 6th, December 2023, and Wednesday the 2nd, October 2024, respectively. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next, Senator John Medu. Notice of motion. To give notice, Senator Kinywa.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice that the Senate notes the report of the 9th Interparliamentary Union IPU Global Conference of Young Parliamentarians held in Hanoi, Vietnam, or from 15 to 17 September 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 5th March 2024.
Next is Senator Ali Ibrahim Loba. Proceed, Senator Miriam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Senator Ali Roba, Mr. Speaker, I beg to give a notice for the following motion, that the Senate notes the reports of the 14th ordinary session of the plenary assembly and related meetings of the Forum of the Parliament of the International Conference of the Great Lakes Region, held in Livingstone, Zambia, from 5th to 19th April 2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 30th May 2024. Thank you.
Next, Senator Veronica Maina. Yes, Senator Eddie Okech.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. This is a notice of motion on the report of the Senate delegation to the High-Level Political Forum, HLPF 2024, on sustainable development. Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of motion of the following motion, that the Senate notes the report of the Senate delegation to the High-Level Political Forum, HLPF 2024, on sustainable development held in New York, United States of America, from 8th to 17th July 2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 19th February 2025, on behalf of Senator Amida Kibwana, MP. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But you have written that paper today, not Wednesday. Today is Thursday. Laid on the table of the House today, 20th.
My apology. May you?
There is an error in that.
May it be on the record that it has been laid today, Thursday, the 20th February 2025.
Very well. There is another notice of motion by Senator Veronica Maina. Another one by Senator Moses Kajwan. Senator Andy Okech, you can do both.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is both. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This notice of motion on the report of the parliamentary delegation to the 2024 Joint United Nations Interparliamentary Union parliamentary hearing held at the United Nations headquarters in New York, United States of America from 8th to 9th February 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of the following motion, therefore, that the Senate notes the report of the parliamentary delegation to the 2024 Joint United Nations Interparliamentary Union parliamentary hearing held at the United Nations headquarters in New York, United States of America from 8th to 9th February 2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 17th September 2024. And this is on behalf of Senator Veronica Maina, MP. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of motion of the following motion, that the Senate notes the report of the proceedings of the parliamentarians' dialogue at the Africa Climate Summit 2023, held in the National Assembly Chamber, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi, on 3rd to 6th September 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 2nd October 2024. And this is on behalf of Senator Moses Kajwang, MP. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Understanding order 52-1, Senator Fatuma Duro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make statement on a matter of county-wide concern, namely the troubling events that transpired during His Excellency the President's recent visit to Isiolo County on Thursday, 6th February 2025, and the broader deterioration of governance and security in the county. Mr. Speaker, the chaos and disorder witnessed during the presidential visit were not merely spontaneous occurrences, but rather the culmination of systemic failures in security governance and administration exacerbated by deliberate action of certain county officials. These issues demand immediate national attention. Mr. Speaker, sir, first I must address the glaring security lapses that characterized the visit. The security administration demonstrated inexcusable negligence in maintaining order despite clear intelligence warnings of impending chaos. Their failures to act on available intelligence and implement proper crowd control measures raises serious questions about their competence and impartiality. The preparation for the presidential visit by the county leadership and administration was shrouded in unprecedented secrecy, deliberately orchestrated to exclude legitimate stakeholders' participation. The governor of Isiolo, in a calculated move to maintain absolute control, micromanaged every aspect of the presidential schedule and programming. This turned what should have been an inclusive engagement into his political platform. Local leaders were deliberately kept in the dark about program details until the last minute. Even more disturbing was the top county security administration denials knowledge about the planned engagement, despite clear evidence of behind-the-scene coordination with the governor. The obstruction denied local leadership and community representatives their right to engage the president on pressing security and governance concerns that demand national government intervention. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is documented evidence, including a leaked video showing top county political leadership actively mobilizing individuals to cause disruptions. In Garbatula, the governor openly threatened to mobilize 5,000 people and promised that he termed brimstone fire against leaders opposing him. This threat materialized during the president's visit, where several leaders, including myself, first orchestrated heckling. Even the president himself was not spared from this organized disorder. What is particularly disturbing is the blatant selective application of justice following the event. Known individuals with documented ties to the county leadership continue to roam freely despite their clear role in orchestrating the disruptions. These individuals operate under the protection of the governor's office and remain untouchable by security agencies. Meanwhile, innocent youths, including border operators, have been arbitrarily arrested and charged with flimsy accusation of public disorder. This targeted harassment of innocent citizens while the real perpetrators enjoy impunity exemplifies the extent to which our local justice system has been compromised. Mr. Speaker, the county political figures who enjoy the state security protection have abused these privileges by deploying security officers to harass, intimidate, and bully Isiolo residents who oppose their leadership instead of protecting all citizens. Equally, these officers have been turned into instruments of political suppression, silencing dissenting voices through arbitrary arrest, threats, and coercion. This blatant abuse of power has created an environment of fear where citizens are hesitant to exercise their democratic rights, further deepening the governance crisis in Isiolo County. Mr. Speaker, the Isiolo County leadership has also orchestrated an artificial show of public support through a coordinated deception campaign. Individuals, both elderly and youth, who are on the county payroll are routinely paraded before the media to issue scripted press statements. This same tactic was used even during the Senate Committee Oversight visit to Isiolo. These orchestrated press conferences follow a predictable pattern where legitimate concerns about governance are raised, and these individuals deflect blame from the governor and attempt to delegitimize genuine grievances. Their purpose is not to address substantive issues, but to attack those who speak truth to power and create a false narrative about the real situation in Isiolo. Mr. Speaker, this manipulation of public perception through financial inducements and staged endorsement is nothing short of political deception aimed at evading accountability. Beyond political intimidation, Isiolo County faces systemic security failures that endanger lives and livelihoods. Cattle rustling, a life and death issue for our pastoralist communities, has been grossly mismanaged. Security officers demand bribes from victims before conducting operations, exposing entrenched corruption within security apparatus. Even more alarming, while these security officers delay responding to cattle raids, they quickly protect Jeshi Alami, a local urban gang that terrorizes residents opposing the county leadership. This selective deployment of security resources shows the law enforcement has been compromised and is being used against the people rather than for them. Mr. Speaker, Isiolo County is also witnessing an alarming rise in drug trafficking, with narcotics being sold openly in broad daylight. This is not just a small-scale substance abuse, but an organized, well-protected operation. Credible reports are linking certain political figures to the drug trade, with suspiciously amazing wealth being used to sponsor political chaos and buy influences. Families are watching helplessly as their children fall victim to the addiction, while those mandated to protect them shielded the drug traffickers instead. This toxic alliance between drug money and political power has eroded legitimate governance and compromised public institutions. I call upon investigative agencies to conduct a thorough probe into the suspicious wealth of those political actors and their potential links to drug trade. Mr. Speaker, A particularly egregious incident occurred the weekend after the president's visit. Senate oversight staff employed by the Senate and attached to my office were arbitrarily arrested and detained under fabricated charges of mobilizing goons and creating public disturbances. The irony is undeniable. While county officials were caught on video organizing 5,000 people to cause chaos, it is oversight staff under my office who are thrown into the cells without bond. This clearly exposes the arrest for what they indeed are: deliberate efforts to obstruct Senate oversight functions and intimidate those holding the county government accountable. Mr. Speaker, sir, given the gravity of these matters, I stand before this Senate to request that you direct that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission investigate the suspicious wealth fueling political unrest and insecurity in Isiolo County. Number two, National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse investigate the drug trade in Isiolo County and its links to local political network. Number three, Inspector General of Police conduct a complete overhaul of Isiolo County security apparatus to restore law and order to ensure public trust in institutions. Mr. Speaker, sir, Isiolo County is at a dangerous crossroads. An immediate intervention is imperative. We cannot allow corrupt political forces to undermine governance, security, and the rule of law. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Duro. Senator Duro, in your statement, you have tasked me to do some work, to contact EACC, to do security overhaul. So I directed that the Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations to engage that statement so that we can see how to assist Isiolo County. Once it is constituted, don't mind, it will be a pending work. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, you have answered partly, but I needed your direction, understanding on the number one, that now that the committees, the ongoing reconstitution is ongoing, can you direct that since this matter of security is an urgent but important matter, that the liaison committee handles for the time being? Because when you talk about security, in your indulgence, because you have our understanding on the number one, because the reconstitution of committees might take longer as we anticipate. I can see the person who is lobbying for a chair is not even aware of what is happening. I think, Mr. Chair. Professor Ojienda, Sifuna handled him properly today.
Senator Chalage, you know, liaison committee is composed of chairs of committees. If you have not elected chairs in your respective committees, then there is no liaison committee. Of course, I chair liaison and we are not meeting because I have no members. You must give me members from the committee. Senator for Nairobi.
Speaker, we are members of that committee, and whatever directive you will make, we will abide. For your information, we have elections to get the chair and the vice chair on Tuesday of next week. So by the end of the day, Tuesday, the committee will be in place with the leadership. So there is no reason not to commit any business to us.
You seem to have come with a lot of energy in that committee, so I think it will be one of the best. Yes? Okay, is a new broom, sweep screen. A new broom, sweep screen. So he's a new member of national security. Okay, Senator Duro, I've guided accordingly. Next is Okech. You have a statement under standing on the 53-1.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. This is a request of a statement on clashes between the Kuria and Ma communities along the border of Migori and Narok counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations regarding the persistent clashes between the Kuria and Ma communities along the border of Migori and Narok counties at Guitembe in Migori County side and Angata Barikoi in Narok County side. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should, 1, explain measures put in place by the government to bolster security in Guitembe and Angata Barikoi areas along the border of Migori and Narok counties, which have been plagued by persistent ethnic clashes between the Kuria and Ma communities. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should inform the Senate of actions taken by the government to establish and address Kuria and Ma communities clashes and the root causes of the clashes. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should state plans by the government to compensate families that have lost relatives and property as a result of the clashes as part of its support for peace-building efforts in the region. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tobiko.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this statement is on the rising rape cases in Magadi area, Kajiado West sub-county. Mr. Speaker, I arise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding rising rape cases in Magadi area, Kajiado West sub-county, Kajiado County, attributed to a suspect going by the name Lorgali. In the statement, the committee should establish, should establish the correct identity of the suspect, including his full name and place of origin. 2, explain the steps the government has taken to ensure the suspect behind the rape cases is apprehended and arraigned in court to face charges. 3, they should state the number of reported cases of rape and defilement in Magadi area from June 2024 to date, and outline the measures in place to support the victims in coping with the trauma. 4, and outline the preventive measures the government has implemented to curb further cases of rape and defilement in the region. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Aminda Kibwana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 2 statements on health matters. The first statement is on the mental health and work conditions of medical interns. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the tragic death of suicide of Francis Njuki, medical intern at Thika Level 5 Hospital in November 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, the incident came just 2 months after the death of Dr. Desiree Mora, who until her death by suicide was a medical intern at Gatundu Level 5 Hospital in Kiambu County. This highlights the urgent need to address rising mental health concerns and toxic work conditions faced by medical interns in Kenya. The deaths of these young medical professionals are not only individual tragedies, but also a stark reminder of systematic issues within our healthcare system. It is imperative that the Senate take swift action to ensure that the safety, well-being, and dignity of all those who dedicate their lives to serving our nation's health. In the statement, the committee should investigate the working conditions and schedules of medical interns at public hospitals, especially addressing claims of excessive working hours and poor working environment. Number 2, examine the existing mental health support programs available for medical professionals, particularly interns, and recommend enhancements to those programs to prevent such tragic outcomes. Number 3, assess the role of hospital administration and the Ministry of Health in safeguarding the welfare of medical interns, including measures taken to address the grievances and provide mentorship. Number 4, provide a detailed report to the policies governing the deployment, supervision, and work-life balance of medical interns and propose reforms where necessary. And the last but not the least, recommend actionable steps to create a safe and supportive working environment for all medical professionals, with a particular focus on addressing mental health challenges within the sector. My second statement, Mr. Speaker, is concerning the agreements for supply and lease of medical equipment to county public health facilities. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the viability of agreements entered into by the Ministry of Health and county governments under the National Equipment Support Program, NESP, for supply and lease of medical equipment to county public health facilities. In the statement, the committee should disclose the names and credentials of suppliers contracted by the Ministry of Health under the National Equipment Support Program to supply and lease medical equipment to county public health facilities, explaining how the said suppliers were selected. Number 2, provide a detailed schedule of payments made by each county government under NESP in the 2024-2025 financial year, highlighting any deductions made directly from the county government's equitably share of revenue raised nationally. Number 3, explain the role of respective county governments and the Council of Governors in the negotiation and execution of agreements under NESP, outlining the steps taken to ensure strict compliance with public procurement laws. Number 4, state measures put in place to ensure that supplied medical equipment meet the required standards and are appropriately utilized once delivered to the health facilities. And number 5, outline measures put in place to ensure that the agreements for supply and lease of medical equipment are financially sustainable for county governments in the long term. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
A statement under Standing Order 57.1 by the majority leader.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I was consulting. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I rise to make this statement pursuant to Standing Order 57.1 today, the 25th of February 2025. Mr. Speaker, the legislative business pending before the Senate is as follows. 53 bills, of which 41 are at the second reading and 12 are at the Committee of the Whole. 19 motions are pending conclusion. 24 petitions are pending conclusion, out of which 17 are due to reporting by the respective standing committees. 463 statements pursuant to Standing Order number 53.1 are pending conclusion. As listed in today's order paper, Mr. Speaker, orders number 10, 11, and 12, there are 3 bills awaiting division at the second reading stage. I therefore request the party whips to mobilize the prerequisite number of county delegations for the voting to be undertaken. I also request honorable senators to remain in the chamber for the same purpose. Mr. Speaker, on 25th of February, Tuesday, 2025, the Senate Business Committee will meet to consider the business for the week. The tentative business for that day will include business not concluded from today's order paper, as well as business indicated in the notice paper. The tentative business for the morning sitting on Wednesday, 26 February 2025, will include the schedule of questions to cabinet secretaries as approved by the Senate Business Committee, as well as motions. Mr. Speaker, the scheduled questions include the following. Question number 5 to the Cabinet Secretary for Health by Senator Hamida Kibwana, MP. Question number 14 to the Cabinet Secretary for Health by Senator Morango, MP. Question number 5 again, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister for Health by Senator Catherine Muma, MP. Question number 8 to Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, Senator Eddie Okech, MP. And question 9 to the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Sanitation, Irrigation by Senator Daniel Maanzo, EBS, MP. The tentative business for the afternoon sitting on Wednesday, 26 February 2025 will include business not included from the order paper for Tuesday, 25th February 2024, and also the following. A, bills at the second reading, namely the County Statistics Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2024, the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2024, the County Wards Equitable Development Bill, Senate Bills number 20 of 2024, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 27 of 2024, and the County Government's State Officers Removal from Office Procedure Bill, Senate Bills number 34 of 2024, the Creative Economy Support Bill, Senate Bills number 30 of 2024, the Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill, Senate Bills number 32 of 2024, the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 39 of 2024, the County Library Services Bill, Senate Bills number 40 of 2024, and, Mr. Speaker, the Labor, Migration and Management Bill, number 2, Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2024. B, Mr. Speaker, will include bills at the Committee of the Whole, namely the Early Childhood Education Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 54 of 2023, the County Public Finance Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 39 of 2023, the County Government's Elections Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 2 of 2024, the County Assembly Services Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 34 of 2023, the Local Content Bill, Senate Bills number 50 of 2023, the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 40 of 2022, and the Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 53 of 2023. C, Mr. Speaker, it will also include motions being 1, report of the County Public Investments and Special Funds Committee on the consideration of the audit reports of the county hospitals for the financial year 2021-2022. 2, reports of the County Public Investments and Special Funds Committee on the consideration of the audit reports of the municipalities for financial years 2020, 2021, and 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023. And 3, report of the County Public Accounts Committee on the consideration of the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following county executive, namely Kitui, Bungoma, Embu, Baringo, Nyandarua, Garissa, Laikipia, specifically for financial year 2019-2020, and Kirinyaga, Kilifi, Kericho for the financial year 2020-2021. The fourth one, Mr. Speaker, will be the report of the County Public Accounts Committee on the consideration of the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following county executives: Mombasa, Nakuru, Nyeri, Bomet, Kisii, Turkana, Trans Nzoia, Nyandarua, Nairobi, Kwale, and Kwale. And finally, report of the County Public Accounts Committee on the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following county assemblies: Machakos, Turkana, Kisii, Uasin Gishu, Kirinyaga, Nyeri, and Tana River. And finally, Mr. Speaker, the projected business for Thursday, 27th February 2025 will include business not concluded in the order paper for Wednesday, 26th February 2025, and any other business scheduled by the Senate Business Committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, I do thank you and hereby lay my statement on the table of this Senate now.
Honorable Senators, I can see there are some senators here who are lined up for comments. We first want to put this question and next one, 8, then we come back to the comments. Next one. We have Senator Boni Kalwale, Majority Whip, just a minute. Presence before I put this question.
Order number 8, motion recording the thanks of the Senate on Kenya's attempt for the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, AUC, resumption of debate, question to be put.
Sorry? No, after I put the question, then we come back to statements. Honorable Senators, this motion was concluded yesterday, and I now want to put the question. Recalling that the African Union, AU, the successor to the Organization of African Unity, OAU, was launched in 2002 as a continental body consisting of the 55 member states that make up the countries of the African continent, with the vision of creating an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. Aware that the African Union Commission, AUC, was established as the secretariat responsible for the operations and activities of the AU, and then by the chairperson elected by heads of state and government from member states. Recalling that on 27 February 2024, Kenya formally announced that the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, NGH, will be vying for the position of chairperson of the African Union Commission, noting that regionally he served as the African Union Special Envoy for Infrastructure and Development. His Excellency the President endorsed the late Honorable Raila Odinga as Kenya's candidate for the chairperson of the African Union Commission. Noting that the Honorable Raila Odinga's candidature for the position of the chairperson was not only his personal ambition, but also a symbol of Kenya's deep commitment to the goals of the African Union and its desire to participate in shaping the continent's future. Commending the government of Kenya led by His Excellency the President for a robust campaign in support of the candidate, reinforced by continental integration and cooperation and guided by Kenya's foreign policy. Further commending the remarkable achievement by Right Honorable Raila Odinga for emerging the run-up in the election of the chairperson of the African Union Commission on Saturday, 15 February 2025. Recognizing the need to sustain Kenya's growing prominence on the continental stage and advocacy for a more united, prosperous, self-reliant Africa in resonance with the aspirations of millions of Africans who seek to see the continent empowered to chart its own course in the global arena. Now, therefore, the Senate, number one, expresses its profound thanks to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, EGH, for demonstrating unwavering commitment to the service of Africa by offering his candidature for the position of the chairperson of the African Union Commission, for his leadership in advancing Pan-African unity, for his dedication to the development and integration of the African continent, and for his distinguished attempt at the election. Senator Chiri, are you the one putting the question, or is the chair? And number two, reckons his thanks to His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, CGH, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya, for endorsing the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, NGH, as Kenya's candidate for election as the chairperson of the African Union Commission, and for coordinating the campaign in support of his candidature. And three, reckons its congratulations to His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf on his election as the chairperson of the Commission on Saturday, 15th February 2025. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So members, I can see Senator Professor Tom Odhiambo Jenda. Do you want to make a comment on the statements?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a statement, to make a comment on the request for statement on the conflict or clashes between the Kuria and the Ma communities along the border of Migori and Narok counties. Mr. Speaker, this is a statement that has been sought today by my colleague, Senator Eddie Okech, and it touches on the interests of a very small community, but also mirrors certain activities that impact on the life of a community. In this case, Mr. Speaker, the Kuria community. The Kuria in North Ntimaru, Mr. Speaker, have been unable to peaceably live in their land. The land they call the land of their ancestors, Mr. Speaker, because of sporadic conflicts and invasion from the Ma community, Mr. Speaker. It is important, Mr. Speaker, that this is brought to the attention of the relevant committee, and I'm glad, Mr. Speaker, that you referred this statement to the Security Committee that shall deal with it. This, Mr. Speaker, has affected the lives of women. And Mr. Speaker, I recall in December, Senator Eddie Okech had to take food to the area of Timbaru to leverage on the food shortages and on the inability, Mr. Speaker, of women and men to farm and feed their families. It is sad, Mr. Speaker, that a community as small as the Kuria community can go through attacks. And Mr. Speaker, in Angata Barikoi in Narok County, you will be surprised, Mr. Speaker, that even when these communities try to farm, they are unable to, because their crop is either harvested before it is ripe or destroyed, or cows simply put into the fields, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, conflicts, and this is instructive because conflicts, for instance, between neighboring communities should be resolved. Where neighboring communities live, Mr. Speaker, and their conflicts, there must be a solution, because it is these conflicts that spread and eventually become bigger, and people are unable to live in peace. Mr. Speaker, I pray that this statement be taken seriously, and I thank Senator Eddy for bringing this statement to the House so that we can investigate and call the security apparatus within this region. And, Mr. Speaker, where there is need, or where there may be need, we may have, Mr. Speaker, as a security committee, and I'm glad my colleague, Mr. Sifuna, sits in that committee, to summon, Mr. Speaker, the county officers in charge of security in that region, to explain whether it is due to complacence on the part of officers that these clashes have continued on and that communities have continued to suffer, or if there's need, Mr. Speaker, to transfer officers or have a station in these places so that we do not have these conflicts continue. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chalge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I want to support two statements. On the issue of security, Senator Eddy should be comfortable because he's seated to one of the members of National Security Committee. I hope you will seize that matter. Even ask or consult me and Senator Ojenda on the peace along the border, where we continue to maintain peace between Nandi County and Kisumu, also Senator Otsotsi, between Nandi and Vihiga, and also between Nandi and Kakamega. So we hear you, and we want to request the people of along Angata Baragoi, where Senator Ledama comes from, to continue to maintain peace. All of us are one Kenya, and I want to encourage the National Security Committee, which will be reconstituted, to find time and go and engage the great people of Angata Baragoi between the Migori and Narok County, and I hope the area senators will be available, because we want one united Kenya where peace thrives in everything, because if there is no peace, there is no development. So, Speaker, secondly, I have seen and I saw in news that there is a rampant rapist in Kajiado County called by the nickname Lolgari. So, Speaker, I am bringing amendment to Sexual Offences Act, such that the individual who perpetuates rape should be castrated professionally, Mr. Speaker. We should castrate. Why would we allow somebody to rape? They can procreate DNA that will give birth to rapists. So, Mr. Speaker, we should castrate. And some of us who are pastoralists, like myself, Ledama, and Senator Tobiko, we are experts in castration. We can assist how to castrate those individuals, because what is the solution? Under Sexual Offences Act, what is the solution? You see these people are taken to court, they are given a bail and bond of 100,000 shillings, and they are being left, Mr. Speaker. The rape causes not only trauma to the individual, it is a lifetime mark, Mr. Speaker. And God forbid you get a child, Mr. Speaker. And this could be young children who are being raped. I am even surprised in this town, and Senator Sifuna should listen to this, that even I'm surprised, even the mentally unstable women are pregnant. Who dares to rape a mentally unstable woman in this city, Mr. Speaker, or across the country? If that person is an animal. Because if they cannot request or who a woman or anyway a girl, Mr. Speaker, then that person is an animal. Because we have reason. You can sit with a girl, take her on a coffee date and convince her otherwise, Mr. Speaker. So I want to appeal, I'll be bringing number 2, Mr. Speaker, in my proposal.
Are you saying that animals do rape?
I'm not saying animals do rape, but I'm saying animalistic behavior. You know, when animals are on heat, they just do the needful, Mr. Speaker. I don't want to say much because you have visitors. Another proposal on Sexual Offences Act I want to propose is we must put trackers to these pedophiles and rapists, like the way they do it in Europe and America, Mr. Speaker, so that when a rapist and a pedophile person comes around, there is a signal.
Council wants to inform you, you know, you are senior.
Senior counsel today, the way he's smiling, I can agree.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to inform the good senator of Nandi. He's made a very good statement, and we should not tolerate rapists. But Mr. Speaker, I want him to consider advising our young girls to remain pure and not to tell them that if they are approached and lured, then they should have sex before marriage. we should encourage our young girls to remain pure and not to give in to sex advances till they find their spouses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with Senator Okongo Mugeni. He has spoken like an Adventist elder. And think Sabbath, that is a good sermon for Sabbath. We have called them to be pure. Mr. Speaker, the second proposal is that we need to put trackers to these rapists, the way we have done with pedophiles in America and other countries, so that when they come around schools or come around, it should be tracked. There should be a signal, Mr. Speaker, so that we can prevent these rapist cases. And I want to challenge DCI, if these cases of abductions are happening, and they know, it is hard to look for one person, one rapist that is causing havoc, that has raped 8 women in Kajiado. It is very unfortunate. What DCI, and we give them money. DCI, must be called out and the police to ensure they track these rapists, Mr. Speaker. We don't want our women and girls to live in fear when they are going to school or they are. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of doctors, I want to say, I brought a statement about the KNH the other day. Now we have this doctor who committed suicide. I think we need to agree. There was a CBA that the government signed with the doctors. We must implement that collective bargaining agreement. Let's give our doctors and nurses and medical practitioners their right, Mr. Speaker. The reason they are committing suicide is because of harsh working environment, Mr. Speaker, where there is no gloves, there is no protection gear, PPEs, Mr. Speaker, there is no good remuneration. I have seen my brother Kebore, the CEO of Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, they have called in strike in some counties. Even I saw my classmate in Kericho calling for strike of doctors because they have not been given fair treatment and fair remuneration, Mr. Speaker. You saw, Mr. Speaker, there was a doctor who worked more than 24 hours in KNH and he died in his sleep a few months ago, Mr. Speaker. People like Dr. Desrin Mora have given all in their life. To be a doctor is not easy, Mr. Speaker, because they say God heals, but the doctor cures, Mr. Speaker. We need to stand with the professionals. Mr. Speaker, finally, I am proposing that the Senate and the Health Committee, and I hope the health members are here, let us form National Health Commission. Because there is crisis in medical sector. You go to Nandi, we have problems. You go to Nairobi, you go to National, Mr. Speaker. You go to Meru. Meru health system has collapsed. Why don't we form National Health Commission to handle human resources of medical practitioners in this country? From dentists, from gynecologists, Mr. Speaker, from psychologists, therapists, Mr. Speaker, all these medical practitioners, and give them a better package, Mr. Speaker. Because with time, if we do not fairly remunerate our doctors, they are immigrating to other countries. We will never have professionals to treat our people. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, we will be emigrating most of our people from here to India. Yet we are losing revenue. What is different that India is doing that we cannot do in Kenya and treat our people, including cancer patients? Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I support all this statement, and I thank you.
Next, Senator Ososi.
And landscapes even during war. But then our bill must encompass the broadness of culture beyond the artifacts and the physical things that can be seen or carried from one place to another. Of course, not forgetting that what this parliament has always done, and which is wrong, and seems to happen again, is we get tired when we are making the law and indicate that the cabinet secretary shall make certain items or certain comments or certain laws which otherwise is not his business to do. And this bill has also gone that direction. And therefore, for the third reading, we need to go into the details and make sure that we make a complete law, even if it's not be full, because culture is very broad, but it's a law that will be a beginning to protect our cultural practices moving forward. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Adan Kainan, member for Aldas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This culture bill introduced by the Leader of Majority seeks to promote, preserve, and institutionalize Kenya's rich and diverse cultural heritage, Madam Speaker. At the core of the bill proposes the establishment of National Cultural Heritage Council, a specialized body tasked with the management, promotion, and protection of Kenya's cultural heritage sites, indigenous practices, and artistic expression. The council's work is to preserve, is to create a culture of continuity and harnessing the promotion of our rich cultural heritage. Madam Speaker, this bill also attempts to create some sort of cultural preservation and revitalization. Kenya, Madam Speaker, is home to over 40 ethnic communities with distinct traditions, languages, artistic expression, and therefore this bill is timely because it attempts to safeguard the endangered languages like the Ogiek, the super language of my good friend, the Honorable Mili, and also attempts to protect sacred sites like the Kaya forest of the Mijikenda and preserve traditional craftsmanship such as the Maasai beadwork and the Lamu Swahili architecture. Madam Speaker, if you look at the face of Kenya and you look at Mili and Mili Odhiambo and her language, the super language, and I'm sure they have been consumed by the rich Luo culture, they are still struggling, and therefore we need to create a special place for them so that even after the next generations, the super community is still remembered. Madam Speaker, this bill also will boost tourism and economic growth. Cultural heritage is a key driver of heritage tourism, Madam Speaker, which contributes significantly to Kenya's economy. Therefore, by promoting cultural festivals such as the Lake Turkana Cultural Festival, the Lamu Swahili Cultural Festival, and other, e.g. like the Lake Turkana Cultural Festival, Lamu Cultural Festival, and historical landmarks such as Fort Jesus, the Great Rift Valley prehistorical sites, the bill positions Kenya as a premier cultural tourism destination, Madam Speaker. And therefore, this in turn is expected to create job opportunities, support local artisans, and attract international investment. Madam Speaker, this bill, once passed, will also contribute to the strengthening of our national identity and unity. Madam Speaker, Kenya is a diverse nation. I always say that Kenya is a collection of many nation states. The rich historical, cultural heritage of these communities must be documented, contextualized, put into a form that can easily be used by the current generation and the future generation, Madam Speaker. And therefore, this cultural heritage, Madam Speaker, plays a fundamental role in our national identity and cohesion. And this is what this country requires. Madam Speaker, when the colonialists brought us together with our diverse cultural heritage, we attempted to get a Kenyan culture in the form of one language, one heritage, one identity, and we're still struggling. And therefore today, if you ask me, that is one thing that we should prioritize as leadership so that we have the Kenyan culture, the Kenyan identity, the Kenyan dress, the Kenyan way of thinking, the Kenyan way of doing things, so that that becomes the unique Kenyan identification. And therefore, I hope this bill, once passed, Madam Speaker, will accelerate our shared history and indigenous knowledge system, Madam Speaker. And therefore, again, once that is done, once that is done, we'll see, as the bill aims to instill patriotism, encourage cultural pride, and bridge ethnic divides, ultimately reinforcing the sense of being a Kenyan, Madam Speaker. And this is one thing that has been lacking. Madam Speaker, over the years, we have prided ourselves. And this is one thing that really affects our national unity. Kenyans are known for their resilience. Kenyans are known for their focus. Kenyans are known for their rich cultural heritage. But Madam Speaker, what we have lacked is a law that will help us coalesce around that identity and project and promote and protect that Kenyan identity that will demonstrate the uniqueness of the Kenyan culture, not only locally, but also internationally, thus earning Kenya being a unique tourist destination, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, countries like Turkey, I wish you had that. Countries like Turkey, countries like United Arab Emirates, countries like Japan benefit from tourism. And yet they lack so many other natural resources, Madam Speaker. Can we be in the league of the same nation, Madam Speaker, once we identify and maximize on this critical national heritage, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, over the years also, there has been an attempt, because of this lack of identity, to profile, to stigmatize, and to divide the Kenyan society along regional lines, along regionalism, along tribal lines, Madam Speaker, along negative ethnicity, Madam Speaker. And this has discouraged, Madam Speaker, our identity as one united, sovereign state called Kenya, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, immediately after independence, we attempted to promote English at the expense of Kiswahili, Madam Speaker, which is a local, our own indigenous language, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's the high time that we also identify English is very good. It's the language of the white-collar job seekers. But equally, Madam Speaker, we also need to promote Kiswahili so that the Kenyan communities, Kiswahili is a collection of many languages, the Arabic language, the Turkish language, the Portuguese language, the Bantu language, and many other languages, Madam Speaker. And therefore, at times when we interact with our colleagues from the East African community, in particular the Tanzanians, we are lost. Which is the most refined Kiswahili? Is it the Kenyan Kiswahili, or the Tanzanian Kiswahili, or the East African Kiswahili, or the Central African Kiswahili, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, it's because of this that once this bill is passed, we hope and pray that some of these things will be collected, put together, and give us a clear identity. Madam Speaker, on the face of it, there are clear gaps in this particular bill, which must also be addressed. Madam Speaker, we currently have the National Museum of Kenya, we have the Kenya National Archive, and we have the Kenya Film Corporation. Madam Speaker, the role of these organizations must also be clearly acknowledged in order to avoid any perceived jurisdictional conflict, Madam Speaker. Because it is very easy to legislate this, and yet tomorrow, National Museum will come and say, this bill encroaches on their mandate. The National Archive will come and say, this bill encroaches on their mandate. The Kenya Film Commission will also say, this bill encroaches on their mandate. Madam Speaker, in the third reading, we must look at this, and I'm sure with the proper legal minds, this can also be addressed, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this also requires, once this bill is passed, there is need to build capacity. Because we have many professionals, academic professionals. We need to have specialized people to deal with our culture, to deal with this particular, the implementation of this particular bill, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have passed many laws. Many laws. Madam Speaker, at times enforcement becomes a problem. We pass laws, and this country is known. Madam Speaker, in 1999, I had the privilege, and allow me to say this, I had the privilege of being a member of the Finance Bill, and Finance Committee, sorry. the Finance Committee, and we went to Malaysia.
I'll give 2 minutes. I'll give you two. I'll give you 2 for your 5 terms in this house. So 2 minutes.
Passing bills is one thing.
The next mic.
When we went to Malaysia in the name of benchmarking, Madam Speaker, we were told, we were with the late Honorable Michuki and many others, we were told, we went around, we were welcomed by the Deputy Speaker, by the clerk, and finally we asked for a document that we will use to improve the facilities in Nairobi and many other urban centers. Shockingly, the clerk went to the archive, the library, and gave us a document that they borrowed from Kenya in 1974. And we were told to use the same document for benchmarking. I will not be surprised that this bill and many other bills similar bills are in our archives. So what I'm trying to say, it's very easy to pass this bill. Are we ready to implement? Are we ready to domesticate this? Are we ready to enforce this? And this is one thing that we have been lacking. Very good in theories, very good in legislations, but when it comes to implementation, we are not very good. And therefore, this is a good bill, and I hope and pray that once we go through the 3rd reading, we'll have a bill that meets the test of time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Before you, Honorable Johanna Ngeno, I want to give an opportunity to the minority whip. So the Honorable Millie Odhiambo, please. Then we'll have Honorable Johanna Ngeno.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for indulging me, Madam Speaker, because as I'd requested, you know, we are having a current meeting with the different departments on the budget policy statements, so I have to run back. Madam Speaker, I wish to say that I support this bill. And Madam Speaker, there is definitely need for cultural preservation. And Madam Speaker, because culture is what shows our identity as a people. And the people who don't have their culture or don't preserve their culture are a lost people because they don't know who they are. Madam Speaker, because I don't want to adversely mention a friendly country, of late I've been to many countries. And I can tell you there's one country that has built completely, you know, they brought a new... And if you actually look at that city, there's something that is lacking. It lacks a spirit because it lacks the culture. That they have done so much in the last 5 or so years to modernize it, but because the modernized aspect doesn't show you, the city feels empty. It doesn't have a spirit because it doesn't show what the people are like. And so, Madam Speaker, if you look at, for instance, somewhere like Marrakesh in Morocco, it shows where they're coming from. It's so beautiful, it shows the culture. But culture is not just manifest in the physical, but I like this bill because it just shows also that it is also in very different aspects, including language. And as a person who is a cultural minority, I know what that means. Madam Speaker, I am born a Suba. My father is a Suba. And I have seen in my generation how that has actually transformed over the years. Where up to my grandfather has a Luo name and a Suba name. All the people ahead of him have very Suba Bantu names. All of us are from my grandfather down, now only have Luo names. And we have lost the Suba names. Madam Speaker, fortunately, the language has been restored. So the Suba now speak Suba, but not all Suba speak Lusuba. But for a fact, we have almost lost all the culture in relation to Suba, except a few. And I want to thank the organizations that have been doing cultural events that seek to sustain what is a little that is remaining of the as a people. And Madam Speaker, I am actually a very proud Suba, even though I can tell you I'm both Suba and Luo because my mother is Luo. And I love that we preserve both the Luo culture and the Suba culture. Madam Speaker, one of the issues that I'd want to also indicate, which I've seen this bill commenting on, but we need to strengthen, is the issue of intellectual property rights on our culture. That there are so many people that have been appropriating our cultural issues. Give example of even our cultural dressing, Madam Speaker. And they go and sell it at a song, yet it is actually who we are. And in the US now, it's a very big creation. That when you see people doing or saying things that is not there, people are saying, I don't want to culturally appropriate. And in the same manner, we need to use those same terminology that we actually criminalize cultural appropriation, or find a way, even if we don't criminalize it, to make sure that we preserve our culture and the things that are very important to us that other people may wish to appropriate. There must be a way in which they pay back to our societies for using that. Madam Speaker, I can tell you for a fact when I go outside, I wear this band on my head. And in Kenya, people just say, oh, Millie, we actually see you like it's an insignia, it's what shows who you are. But in a lot of communities in Kenya, we actually have this. It's just at a modernized mind. In the Luo culture, if you see me doing the beaded one, it is called ligisa. And ligisa is worn by women in leadership. So if you see me wearing that, it basically says, in my culture, it shows that I'm a woman leader. But for now, because we don't actually take it seriously, when people see me, think it's just an issue, a statement of fashion. Yes, it's fashionable, but it's also cultural. And it is not just amongst the Luo community, it's amongst very many communities, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we must also see how we link culture with the tourism. I want to thank the Parliament that they recently organized a very good training, and the training was on PPP, public-private partnerships. And Madam Speaker, one of the things that I actually picked up from that is the immense potential of linking tourism and culture. And Madam Speaker, I recently, together with my husband, we've recently visited a place called El Nido in the Philippines. And Madam Speaker, we pay quite a bit of money to do things which you could do here in Kenya very easily. Things like cultural immersion and doing things that have to do with our culture. Visiting a spiritual center like Atego Island in my constituency, visiting the two bird islands in my constituency, or the cultural caves in Fagano Island, amongst others. We have a lot that we get from our culture that we can use to, encourage tourism. Madam Speaker, however, I just want to say that I have a rider in relation to this bill that we must strengthen, which is the issue of how the Constitution outlaws harmful cultural practices, and I would want us to strengthen the sections of this bill that deals with harmful cultural practices, and say that even though we actually allow cultural practices, there are certain cultural practices that are harmful, such as female genital mutilation, beading, forced wife inheritance, early and forced marriage of young girls. And Madam Speaker, you find there are people, when you go to communities, they want to justify for you. Before I came here, I used to represent a lot of young girls and women in court. And I remember one time when we were in Kajiado court, and the Children Act had just already passed. And we arrested some old man who had married a 10-year-old girl. And when we went there, he said, no, but this is allowed in my culture. And then when we told him, no, we cannot allow you, it's no longer allowed in law, then he said, did Honorable Saitoti know that you passed such a law? Because he thought then Honorable Saitoti should have stopped us from passing a law stopping him from marrying a 10-year-old girl. So because of that, Madam Speaker, we must put, so we have culture, there are certain cultural practices that are retrogressive. But also, Madam Speaker, one of the things that I want us to do is to enhance the historical bit where we have now distorted culture. And Madam Speaker, if you actually look at our historical issues, you discover, for instance, amongst the Luo community, women were really respected and exalted. But now people are actually doing the reverse. If you look at the bigger clans in Luo, they start with a female name. It's almost like the House of Mumbi. We start with the Kanyamwa, Kanyadoto, Kanyekela, Kanya something. They are all about women. But now we are being told women cannot lead. Who told you women cannot lead? We are in charge of clans. So if you are in charge of clans, why can we then not lead? We must put our history correctly, and our history respected and exalted women. And I want to say that I'm very happy the House of Mumbi has actually kept that. And so we know that's why you see a lot of women in Kikuyu land get elected, because they preserved that history. But in some of our areas, we are losing that. And so we have people creating their own stories about what was there in culture. Madam Speaker, I support, and I look at it more keenly so that I see if there are areas, the areas that I've spoken, if they are not well covered, that will bring amendment. I support. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Johanna Ngeno.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also wish to make a small contribution of this matter before this House, especially something that touches on our cultures. You know, Madam Speaker, when we speak about culture, it means so many things to most of us, especially those of us who were brought up in a very serious cultural background. Madam Speaker, when I grew up, a friend of mine who was a teacher used to tell me that an uncultured person is an uncivilized person. To the extent that in most of the cases, people used to believe that when you follow your culture, it's like you are primitive. It's like you're doing backward things. But Madam Speaker, as time went by, we realized that even what the colonial governments and the white people brought us here in Africa was their culture. So that when you even compare the biblical writings, you compare with what our people used to believe in, there is no difference. It's only that ours was not in written form. Only that, but we used to pray to the same God. We believe in the same God. It's only the names are different. But what we were calling our God is the same God that the Bible teaches us. The cultures that we had, the way we prayed and how we behaved, the way we circumcised our boys, and all that, Madam Speaker, is an indication that our culture was just thrown out because somebody else wanted us to adopt their culture so that we forget about ours. Madam Speaker, culture defines who we are. It's our background, and it is something that we must live with, Madam Speaker, so that we must find ways of promoting our culture so that it can be inherited from generations to generations. Culture, Madam Speaker, is the heartbeat of humanity. It is actually how most of us were brought up. And if you were to ask everybody, they were brought up in a certain culture. Even if it is those who were brought up in Nairobi, still, they will go back to their cultures. They will be taught on how their people used to behave, the kind of clothing people used to have, etc., etc. So therefore, Madam Speaker, I wish to support this particular bill that touches on how to protect the cultural artifacts, the identity of our nation and our people. And of course, Madam Speaker, to look into what exactly do we need to do so that our culture is not lost. Madam Speaker, first we talk about the artifacts. Artifacts, Madam Speaker, are tools which were used by our people. And each and every people, each and every community has their own ways or their own means or their own artifacts. Madam Speaker, and this one ranges from clothing to the kind of artifacts they used to use, whether when they were going to pray or their praying sites, or what they use also to appease the enemies, or what they used to, when they want to appease their gods, when they want to give blessings, when they want to do their traditional circumcisions, even when the elders were having their drinks and like the current kind of drinking. Madam Speaker, those are cultural artifacts that we must protect by all means. Madam Speaker, I remember at the beginning of Kibaki government, I think it was around 2003-04, the people from the Kalenjin community who had lost who had lost a very great warrior and an overseer and a Laibon called Koitalel Samoa, disputed and petitioned the government to ensure that they return the artifacts which had been looted by the colonial government at that time and took them away to their country. And at that time, Madam Speaker, the president of that time helped that community to bring back the artifacts, only that they did not surrender the skull or the head of the Laibon. Madam Speaker, those artifacts have a very serious meaning to the communities where that Laibon came from. And that is why it was very important that they bring back those particular artifacts. Madam Speaker, even in many other areas, many other communities, even the sub-tribes where we come from, there are artifacts which were confiscated, like the stools, the three-legged stools, which were used for prayers and were used also for blessings, and which were confiscated by the Europeans. Madam Speaker, there are those ones that remained. There are those ones that we still have in our homes. And this law, Madam Speaker, protects the misuse and the looting and the stealing of these particular artifacts which can help, or which were used as our traditional memories for traditional use. Madam Speaker, when we talk about culture also touches on the cultural clothing. Every community, Madam Speaker, in this country have their own traditional clothing, their own cultural clothings. And Madam Speaker, I would wish also one day in this house, Madam Speaker, we introduce a cultural day where every member, because at least we all come from particular backgrounds, particular communities, so that we can say this is a cultural day where every member of this house will wear their cultural clothing, so that we dress the way our communities used to dress. And you will be shocked, Madam Speaker, because we have our dresses, cultural dresses that fits us so well, and they are so good, so that when you see our ladies, if they were to put on those particular clothings and dresses, Madam Speaker, you'll be shocked at how beautiful they look. And even men, when they put on those particular dresses, clothes, Madam Speaker, you will imagine how also men handsomely look, apart from the ones we wear in Parliament. Like when we put on Madam Speaker.
I know the Honorable Irene Mayaka is next in my list, but I think you are saying you have a point of order, Honorable Irene Mayaka? Yes. Please proceed. What is out of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member is out of order because he's telling us that we only look beautiful when we wear cultural clothes. What does he mean? What is he insinuating? Is he trying to say that right now we don't look beautiful? He needs to withdraw.
Madam Speaker,
I thought we could address the first point of order. Honorable
yes,
Member for Emukuru, what do you have to say about that?
And I will address Mheshimiwa Milli's also point of order. I know what she is.
No. You cannot address a point of order when you have not heard it.
I will, Madam Speaker, I just want to say that, you know, when you look, I said our women, our ladies will look even more beautiful when they dress in their traditional dress. Just like our men will look more handsome when they dress in our cultural dresses. So, Madam Speaker, what I meant is, we are beautiful.
Chairman, order.
Our ladies are beautiful.
Order. We have another point of order by the Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Please take your seat. What is out of order, Honorable Millie Odhiambo?
Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Madam Speaker, I'm just worried that the member seems to suggest that we should be coming to Parliament dressed, naked with just a small thing underneath. Because culturally, that's how we dress. We were naked with something underneath. Madam Speaker, is that really in order? Is that what we are implying? Our culture, we were half naked, Madam Speaker. The world is evolving, and that is part of culture. So are you suggesting that members should be coming to the house naked?
Madam Speaker, we should be proud of our culture. And it doesn't matter how that culture looked like. whether we used to put on, and after all, Madam Speaker, when you look at the kinds of dressing that we have today, our ladies are almost naked, and yet that is not even our cultural dress. So what I meant, Madam Speaker, is that we would, let us be proud of where we are, where we came from, who we are, and that starts from our artifacts, to our dress, to our food, to the food that we eat, to the sites that we normally visit. Because, Madam Speaker, even the cultural sites that we visit will look more, even healing, than the sites that we visit, like even the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, we normally had places that we will go for cultural prayers, and they look so soothing than even any other place. So what I meant, Madam Speaker, is that our ladies are beautiful, but they will be more beautiful if they were to put on.
Well, you've done very well to defend yourself. The Honorable Irene Mayaka, and thank you for your patience, Irene.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to support this particular bill, which I think is very well placed before the House. And Honorable Speaker, this is a bill that actually gives meat to bone to Article 11 of the Constitution, because that already speaks about protecting, promoting, and defending our culture, but it doesn't give us the structure and the how to do that in a manner that actually ensures that all the cultures within our country are actually protected. Madam Speaker, the fact that as a nation we have a variety of cultures is actually a very good thing, because we are able to showcase the different aspects of who the people of Kenya are. And Honorable Speaker, just as a few members have already said, is that most of us who are city-born children, who have not had the opportunity to interact with our culture, we don't really understand, unless you had parents like mine who ensured that you knew about the traditional dances of Abagusi, the traditional liquor of Abagusi, and various other traditions. You will not be able to really interact with that. Honorable Speaker, and also, this is actually a very good coincidence, because I know you skipped statements, but my statements was actually alluding to an aspect of protecting some of the cultural sites that the people of Abagusi and especially Nyamira County has. For example, Honorable Speaker, we have a place in Manga Hills that is called the Engoroya Manga, where it has been said that when you drop something in that particular hole, it goes all the way to Lake Victoria. And that is one of the sites that has been beholden by our people. We have cultural stones there that actually look like a person. We have cultural huts there that people actually go there and pray. And actually, Honorable Speaker, when people go to visit Manga Hills and those specific places, like the men dress in suits out of respect for those sites. And what they do there is that they go, they pray for the community, they pray for their families. And these are some of the things that I'm actually seeking to protect and to ensure that it is preserved so that even our children get to learn about it. Honorable Speaker, the other thing that I really like is that the bill even speaks about our language, because most of the people, most of our children now, because they are born from families of different communities, they're not able to speak our languages. And also because of school again. Unless you deliberately, as a parent, go out of your way to teach your children their languages, their ethnic languages, they do not even speak it. And those are some of the things that we need to reserve. Honorable Speaker, I just want to speak about some of the clauses that for me really stood out. Like, for example, clause 9 that speaks of establishing royalties. That is very important because we do not want these cultures to fade away. We do not want, for example, the Maasai shuka to fade away because it has not been protected by royalties. We do not want the sisal skirt that the Luos use to dance their traditional dances to fade away because it is not protected. Or even, Honorable Speaker, our traditional alcohol, ebusa. I know different communities call this by different names, but we do not want that to also disappear as well. Clause 10 speaks about compensation of people's culture. And on this particular one, I'm very interested and very keen on it. Because, for example, if you go to a wedding and people dance our obokano from the Gusi community, I'd like to see a situation where royalties are actually paid back to the community. or the rib in a dance, that for us, we use that dance when we are inviting rains to come to our community. Honorable Speaker, the other clause is clause 11, that speaks about exports and imports of products. Again, very interesting, and I'm very biased in terms of giving examples from my community, the Abagusi community, because we are famously known for the soapstone culture and different items that are made out of the soapstone. But this is something that has slowly disappeared. We are seeing a situation where it is now individuals who are doing the exports on their own, instead of actually having it being like a community thing that is being done, so that people out there know that when you get a salt shaker or a tot glass or a mug for drinking tea that is made out of soapstone, you know that this has come from the Gusii community. And if you can have a way of even ensuring that this is even engraved and the royalties are protected, then that will be a fantastic thing. The other clause, Honorable Speaker, is clause 18 that speaks of promotion of culture. And Honorable Speaker, this particular one, I just want to connect it with the Utamaduni Day. Because yes, we have Utamaduni Day, we have the national celebration, but for me, this is a celebration that should actually be devolved down to different communities. So that on this day nationally, we know that as the people of Kenya, we are all celebrating our specific culture. I also like the fact that we want to have cultural centers that mushroom out of having this particular bill in place, so that if you come to Nyamira County, or you go to Baringo, or you go to Kirinyaga, or you go to Samburu, there's a place where you can actually go and see that this is where people have managed to it's like a museum where you can be able to see different artifacts. In Nyamira, for example, Honorable Speaker, we have a restaurant that the owner of that restaurant has actually set aside one area where you can go into our traditional huts. You can see how the busa was being made. You can have an opportunity to eat our traditional vegetables, chinsaga, managu. You can be able to eat our traditional ugali. You can be able to see the setup of the Gusii families and how where the eldest son would stay in the homestead, and the younger sons and the wife and all that. But having said that, Honorable Speaker, about all the beauties of our culture that we can actually defend, for me, the one thing that I also want us to be very careful is the promotion of the retrogressive culture. And this, we need to check the bill and confirm, which we will do, so that if there's any particular place that does not categorically speak about the retrogressive culture, then we can set that aside. Retrogressive in the sense of, for example, for us, the FGM practice. That is definitely not a culture that we would want to promote. So we have to be very careful to ensure that these cultures that are very retrogressive are not encouraged. Honorable Speaker, having said that, and so that I also save time for the other members, is that, yes, I really want us to celebrate this bill, but also I do not want this to be one of those bills that is just put on the shelf somewhere after its assent. My wish is that, and I know the majority party represented by Honorable Naomi is here and they can listen, is that the day that the President assents to this bill, that there's an actual celebration awareness at State House of all the cultures in this country alongside that signing of that bill, so that everybody in this country is aware that we do have a bill in place that is going to protect our culture. We don't want a situation where when you talk about the bill outside there and everyone asks you, when was that assented? We don't have anything like that. So the awareness, the communication out there has to be extremely powerful so that everyone is really aware of that. And finally, Honorable Speaker, and I like that some of the concerns that we voiced here about Kenya not having a national outfit when we go for national functions or when our athletes represent us out there, at least at the Paris Olympics, we had some sort of a national culture that portrayed the Maasai culture that was worn out there. And it was very exciting that majority of the other participants from other countries actually recognized that Kenya has a beautiful outfit. I wish we could even adopt that as our national dress for our party. So, I mean, sorry, not for our party, for our country, so that anytime we have representation out there of people going to represent the country, they can wear our national outfit. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, I do support the bill and I submit. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi, member for Kwanza.
At long last. Madam Speaker, I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank all the members who have contributed on this bill. And I think they have actually exhausted the bill. And as the previous speaker just mentioned, the third reading of this bill, let's take action. When the President assents to this bill, Madam Speaker, I want us to move forward because there are so many things that have gone wrong. I'm a little older than some of the members here, and I can tell you things have gone out. The next 50 years or even 20 years to come, Kenya will not be Kenya that you and I would have admired to be, because, Madam Speaker, things are going haywire. I come from a culture in Luhya land, and we had a very good culture. For example, the circumcision of the Luhya. You know, we had a special way of going for that particular circumcision. Today, you know, it's a laughing stock. You know, and as somebody mentioned, and I think I want to quite agree with whoever mentioned, for us, those days, and I saw those from my own older brothers and other neighbors, what have you, for you to go for circumcision, you went naked. From the river, you go to the river, and from there you are taken almost 2-3 kilometers to your home, and you are operated there openly. Today, Madam Speaker, nothing like that is happening. Things have gone off. Then, of course, those days, and in fact, even as recent as maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, when a child gets married, you know, a boy cannot go and greet the mother-in-law. It's out of respect, not anything else. Today, he can go and hug the mother-in-law, which is actually wrong. In our culture, it's not supposed to be like that. Madam Speaker, we have a problem. This country must be protected. I have a specific case, for example. We had Bomas of Kenya. If those of you have not gone there, in fact, you go there now, it's no longer the Bomas of Kenya we used to know, because it was an area for cultural preservation. Bomas of Kenya is no more. You go to Bomas of Kenya, you will have the Maasai's culture, the Kikuyu's culture, Luyas, what have Luos, and you see that culture was very, very impressive. You're there, you pay the money, and you are there for some time, and of course you come back and say, okay, is this how this community behave? That again is gone. Go to Bomas of Kenya, you know, it's not the same thing. It's now just a business area, doing other things. So we should actually, because I was asking my colleague here, we have a ministry for culture and sports. That ministry must be revived. That ministry must be given guidelines to be able to preserve some of those cultures that actually are very, very important for us to be able to maintain. Because I know for sure the colonialists came, and when they came, you know, people now want to behave like a Mzungu. But look, that again is now something under the bridge. We just have to behave our own way. We have to revive. For example, in Luhya culture, if a child goes to get married, he has to pay almost 13 cows. Today, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. And it's a culture that actually a Luhya boy marrying another person from another area, you pay the money before anything else, even before the wedding. Today, it's no longer there. It's just to understand each other. Like my brother who was okay, I don't want to mention that. But that again, Madam Speaker, we should do something about it. This bill, when it comes to third reading, ask members of this parliament to be able to have very good intervention. The closer you can be able to correct some of the areas that you feel you should be able to correct, because it's just for the interest of this country. Not because of our personal interest, but the interest of this country, that we actually maintain our culture and so that we are distinct from other people. Because you go out here in the world, you see people behave very differently. And so I want to say that, Mr. Speaker, as you take over, as you take over the seat, I want you to also take note of this. And I think let's have a house full in the third reading of this bill. And let's look at areas where we can be able to put some inputs and be able to see if the culture of this country can be improved through a specific ministry. And don't just put that Ministry of Culture and Social Services and Sports or whatever it is, should be able to take up some of the roles that we are talking about and be able to see what it can do. And last year, not least, I think the county government, and the central government of this country should work in collaboration to be able to maintain some of those cultural areas. There's some areas which actually, some of them are still there, they are neglected, but it should be revived. So that through the county government, those cultural centers be revived for the benefit of our future, so that we have a good historical background. So what will be our grandchildren write about Kenya? It will be nothing. So we want that cultural centers to be revived, be protected through the Ministry of Culture and Social Services, and it should be also be replicated in the county government. Should have the similar ministry or department in the culture development, in the county government, to be able to maintain these areas, because it's important, Mr. Speaker, that we keep these people as soon as it is. And of course, then we'll have like this bill is actually saying, of course, anybody now, once we are through with that, anybody destroying any of these cultures, whatever, should be actually be punished in terms of paying fine. And that fine should be going, of course, as you know, if you are going to Bomas of Kenya, you pay a lot of money. And there was a Minister of Culture who was getting that as an income. Similarly, anybody interfering with any of these cultural centers should be, and of course the behavior, whatever it is, should be fined. And those things are being fined through Wazee wa Mtaa, or the communities can be able to come up with whatever. So that again is something that we have to revive for the benefit of our country. I want to take this opportunity to thank the leader of the majority to have come up with this particular bill, and I think it's very timely, and I hope and pray that we'll support it to the last thing and be able to have it implemented immediately. His Excellency puts a concert on the same. I want to thank you and I support this bill.
The Honorable John Waweru.
Mr. Speaker, I must thank you. I must thank you profusely for giving me this opportunity. And secondly, I have to say that this is a very laudable effort by the Committee on Sports, Youth and Culture under the leadership of the Honorable Wanyama. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing about culture. And in this context, Mr. Speaker, we are actually going into the heart of a discussion for the fight of the soul of a people. Mr. Speaker, it has been said before that if you want to disenfranchise an individual, what you do is you deny them their mother tongue and you take their father's name. Because if you deny someone their mother tongue, everything that is housed in language, whether you call it belief, whether you call them their truth or their identity, it is housed in the language that they speak. In their father's name, an individual finds their identity. And to that extent, Mr. Speaker, then, the Swahili are very right when they tell us that mwachamila ni mtumwa. Mr. Speaker, this vessel that we are calling culture is the one, as I have said, that carries a people's identity, their history, their belief, and even their truth. From the culture I come from, Mr. Speaker, when you refer to your mother, you call her Maito. Maito, if you extrapolate the name, is two words. There is the word Ma and Ito. Ma means the truth. Ito means ours. So the name mother, in essence, means our truth. And that is why you find that in this patriarchal society, the Kikuyu culture is unable to thrive because by its very formation, the Kikuyu culture was not supposed to be a patriarchal culture. In fact, we all believe that we came from Mombi, the creator. And Mombi is the only name that humanity shares with God. It is the only word in our dictionary, as the Kikuyu speaking people, that a man shares a word, a name with God. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sorry, Honorable Speaker, I have to say that the tragedy that we seek to remedy by having a bill that gives a framework for the protection of our culture has to do with us finding our way back. What in Gikoyo they would call Woshokiaroe Mokaro, making sure that the river gets back to its course. Because as we speak today, we have been knocked off our, what you would call our track of organic cultural development and civilization. And how it happened was very systematic, Mr. Speaker. The moment an individual showed up in our country carrying three very dangerous things, they were carrying on one hand a Bible, a gun, and education and what you would call government. And with that, they were able to rub off our cultures to the extent that today, Mr. Speaker, any individual who professes the Christian faith can give you the lineage of one Jesus Christ of Nazareth, all the way back to his lineage to the house of David, all the way back to the house of Abraham and his son Isaac, and all the way back to the creation story, Adam. And they can give you a chronology of who gave birth to who gave birth to who, and these are tens of generations. However, Mr. Speaker, even I myself would struggle to give my lineage beyond 7 generations. I might profess that I am Kiarie. Kiarie wa Waweru. Waweru wa Ngeve. Ngeve wa Geshi. Geshi wa Kangora. And then beyond that, Mr. Speaker, 7 generations down, then I get lost, Mr. Speaker. As such, Mr. Speaker, then, whatever it is that was housed in the language that I speak, it faces a great danger today. I might be the last of our people who will be able to speak the language that my father spoke and my mother spoke. To that extent, then, Mr. Speaker, the discussion this afternoon becomes extremely important when we juxtapose it with where the world is today. When we talk about the world today, 2 great things are affecting culture. 1, globalization. 2, technology. And they are working hand in hand, Mr. Speaker. That today as we speak, there are large language models that are being developed using data that is scraped off the internet to form what you would call emerging technologies in artificial intelligence. But let us look at them, Mr. Speaker. The language models that we are speaking about today in the world of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies, of the data that they are scraping out of the internet, we are told that 46.5% of that data is in one language, English. German follows closely, Russian follows after, but then, at what point then will my Gikuyu language or my Kamba language from my lineage be onboarded onto this new development in what we are calling the 4th Industrial Revolution? As such, Mr. Speaker, what has been happening then is a lot of cultural appropriation. We know that in this country, there are artifacts that throughout history have been plucked out of our country and are in exhibition and being monetized in capitals abroad, in museums abroad, Mr. Speaker. The man-eating lions of Tsavo, 2 of them, male lions that did not have a mane, a spectacle to behold. When they were shot by a man called Peterson, they were then taken to some museums in Western capitals where they are to date. We are told by historians that one Koitalel Arap Samoei was decapitated, and his head and maybe the skull at that point was taken to museums abroad. Those museums do have entry fee. There are researchers who make big researches out of the data that is in those museums. However, is the Savo community benefiting from this appropriation of this culture? Are the Kipsigis benefiting from their leader being exhibited in a museum for now close to a century and some more years? So that, Mr. Speaker, then, the need for a comprehensive legislative framework that enables us to support the integration of culture, the cultural becomes a priority. Now here is the critique, that even as we are speaking, it is of specificities, Mr. Speaker, that in the format that it is and the style that it is big on cultural artifacts. However, culture is larger than artifacts. There are many elements of culture that are not covered in this bill as it exists. So much so that the option we have as a House is to either pass it as it is and then seek for places to amend later, or we might decide then, and in the third reading, Mr. Speaker, we might find a place in the clauses that exist or introduce new clauses where we are able to cover a wider definition of culture rather than zero in on just cultural artifacts. But now the bill as presented, Mr. Speaker, because it is big on cultural artifacts, then we can talk about issues to do with intellectual property. Mr. Speaker, whatever is covered here on intellectual property is a bit shallow. Whether that shall be covered in subsequent or subsidiary legislation, maybe in regulation, or whether there shall be another bill that comes to take care of intellectual property. But finally, Mr. Speaker, I have to say that the essence is urgent. One, for the preservation of our culture and the protection of our culture. But secondly, Mr. Speaker, and most importantly, this House is the House that ratifies international treaties, international conventions. And so, Mr. Speaker, the treaties that we have ratified, and many others to do with culture, and life, processing a bill that takes care of culture. The Constitution, Mr. Speaker, also is given effect by us passing this bill. And it is for that reason, Mr. Speaker, that I stand to support and seek to amend in the third reading. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak on this bill.
The Honorable Christine Ombaka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to what is very, very important in our lives. We are talking about a bill that deals with culture. And definition of culture. What is culture? It's a way of life as lived by a people at a particular time in history. It means that culture is our way of life. It's the language we speak, it's the song we sing, it's the food, the dress that we have, the food we eat, the sports, everything about our lives is culture. But it is as lived by a people at a particular time in history. It means that culture evolves. It is dynamic. It changes from time to time. The people of the past had their own culture. It moved on and changed on, and we acquired others, and we dropped other ways of culture, other ways of survival, and we moved on and acquired others. That's like language dies. When a language dies, then that culture is finished. That culture, the people of that language will not exist because the language has died. It is important to realize that culture is our identity. If it dies, we are dead. It is cardinal. It is in our lives. It is part and parcel of us. It is our gene that if it is not there, we are not human beings. Unfortunately, our culture, African culture, Kenyan culture, all the tribes that we have, 42 or 43 that we have, these are cultures that are very, very important. But they have been interfered with in the past through colonialism. And it is still being interfered with. It is still changing. It is still not the same as a long time ago. But we need to preserve them because we are preserving our identity. We will be laughed at if we do not preserve it. If I lose my Luo language, where will I belong? What will people think of me? But our children are losing it, and we are not caring. We do not give a hoot about the language that our children are speaking today. They are mixing up English and Swahili and a bit of their local language. Sometimes they speak pure American English, and they cannot utter a word, even the word thank you, even the word asante sana, they cannot speak it because they speak European language. We are, as parents, have also failed in preserving the culture of our people because we enjoy to see our children speak British or American English. Secondly, we have tried in this country to preserve culture through the museums that we have. But unfortunately, again, these museums, they're shallow. I was in a committee of sports last parliament, and we had a chance to visit a number of museums that we had. It was shameful to see how shallow, how empty they were. There were no anything that would indicate the culture of our people. They were scanty, they were too old, they were torn apart. We need to create or come up with what we can show to our children as part of what is in the museum. The museums are not having the right things. They're too old, too broken apart. Nobody seems to put money there to ensure that even our museums have the items, the artifacts that require our understanding of the past. That is missing. The school system has tried, I must say that, because we normally have school music festivals, drama festivals. These are events that help us nurture the past, bring out the past. Our children try to wear those clothes of long ago so that they can sing these songs when they come for competition. But it's just for competition and the story is over. We do not carry it forward. We do not say, we do not care about the clothes that we used to wear in the past and keep them and reserve them somewhere in the museum. It is just for events for a period over 1 day, 2 days, and it's over. It's unfortunate that we do not celebrate our culture. We need to do that constantly. In this country, we also have Heroes Day. We celebrate our heroes, the people of the past, what they did for us, how great men and women they were, and we celebrate them. But at least there we conquer, there we have done well, because it's every year we celebrate the great men and women of this country, of the past and of the present. They've done marvelously well. In my community, recently in Nyanza, last December, that's 3 months ago, we had a celebration, a 2-day celebration, which was called Pinyuluo. Pinyuluo simply means Luo world, the Luo world. And we invited guests from all over. We were tracing the history of the Luo people, right from Sudan, and how they spread out in so many countries in this world. They're in Uganda, they're in Tanzania, they're in West Africa, they're everywhere. So many countries. And many people came to celebrate the Luo culture at that time. There were music, good food of long ago, and men and women who know the history of the Luo movement from Sudan to here. Even today we were praying for a great professor, Professor Bethuel Alan Ogot, who has written a lot about the Luo culture in many, many books and articles. In one of the presentations last December, before he passed away, he told us the power of women, how women were highly respected, and how even in the Luo movement from Sudan, the people who led the Luo movement, a number of them were women. He highlighted the role that women played in history in the Luo people. But somehow today we are losing it. Nobody cares about the role that women play historically in various movements, historical movements, in wars and anything else. Appreciation and making sure that we conserve the names, the activities, and the role. It is therefore very important. This bill, because that is helping culture, and culture is. We are 42 communities, and that does not mean we are divided. It simply means all these communities with their cultures can make us very strong as a united nation. Kenya is a united nation. 42 communities form a nation. And so we need to celebrate the cultures that we have, the 42 cultures that we have. I know culture is dying, but we need to still fight very hard to protect it. We need to protect Gotramogi. That is a hill where our ancestors settled when they arrived in Kenya those many years. Nobody should go there in that land and start digging and treating it like his own. It must be protected, and nobody should interfere with it. We have the Kikuyu Kiondo. I remember very much in this very house, somebody brought the issue of Kikuyu Kiondo, that some other European countries are grabbing and calling it their own. It is owned by the Kikuyus because that is a traditional basket that they weave, that is part and parcel of their identity. But some people, foreigners, have grabbed it and made it their own. So that is where the catch is. We are losing what we have to the European countries. We need to grab back our culture that they've taken, what they're making so much money on, that belong to us. We need it here, right here. Because if we don't watch it, they will grab everything and they will take us back to their country and make money out of us. Very soon, you will call that slavery. They will soon pick us up and take us over there if they're taking some of our property that we need to protect. I'd like to conclude, because I'm rushing somewhere else, to say that I support very, very highly this very bill, because I'm supporting our identity, I'm supporting our way of life, I'm supporting the Kenyan people who are protecting and fighting for their communities, fighting for their values, fighting for their way of life as lived by a people of today's culture. Thank you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Nyomi Wako.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this debate that I like because of the Cultural Bill 2024 that has been moved very ably by the Chief Whip, and I have been listening. And as one of the people who love their culture and just get excited about our cultures, I have been so excited this evening, and also seeing that there are many people like me. Honorable Speaker, I support this bill fully because the bill was informed by Article 11 of the Constitution of Kenya, which recognizes culture as the foundation of the nation and as the cumulative civilization of Kenyan people and the nation. It commits the government to promote all forms of national and cultural expression. In fact, what excites me is all forms of national and cultural expression through literature, arts, traditional celebrations, science, communication, information, mass media, publication, libraries, and other cultural heritage. Honorable Speaker, We are who we are because of our cultures, our behavior, our way of dressing, our way of expressing ourselves, and even the way we interact with each other and socialize is because of our culture and that strong foundation that was based on our culture. Unfortunately, today, we keep losing, and many people say culture is dynamic. Yes, it is dynamic, but we don't have to lose our good and beautiful culture. Honorable Speaker, as I was growing up, one test that any young man or woman has to go through is anytime a visitor comes to your home, number one, you have to say your name. You have to say your father's name. You have to say your grandfather's name and continue up to the last generation. And after that, you have to tell the visitor your clan and the age set of your parents and your own. And by the time you finish that, then you would have passed the exam. And by the time you have gone through that interview, everybody knows that, yes, this child has been brought up in a good way or is being brought up in a good way. Honorable Speaker, those are the things we cannot find today. When I went to Norway in 1997 to do my master's, the first thing I interacted with was, I saw so many people, the Oromo speakers there. And from our country, I had my firstborn and the secondborn with us. And we were always proudly speaking about, Kenya and very good English in everything. But within very few months, we realized that speaking our own language was the best thing that we would have done for ourselves. And within 3 months, we were able again to bring back our children, and we started speaking our language, which brought a lot of value. And anytime we interacted with other Africans, we would also speak our language, and everybody celebrated with us. And since then, speaking our language in our home is our priority. Practicing the good cultural practices is another thing that we have always done. Honorable Speaker, the more we practice our good cultural practices, the more we will grow our country and also keep our valuable heritage, whereby other people in Western world today, you don't have what you see in our country. We have 42 different ethnic groups. We have, in my own country, we have 14 different ethnic groups. Each group having their own unique and special cultural practices. The more we do this, the better for us as a country, Honorable Speaker. I support this bill because since independence, it is important for us to know that since independence, Kenya has never enacted comprehensive legislative framework to support the integration of culture and cultural heritage in national development agenda. Honorable Speaker, it is many years. And the potential that is there in our cultures, the beautiful practices. Even before we were born, although Christianity was not there and maybe Islam was not there, our forefathers used to pray to God. And they used to do so many things. I remember they used to tell me that even during the drought season like now, the elders and the spiritual fathers would just go somewhere, pray, and command that it rains. And it has always rained. But today you cannot see that because we are not living in those practices. Honorable Speaker, it is too late. In fact, this bill would have been there many years ago, so that our young people can enjoy and so that we can harness the potential of our culture. Honorable Speaker, I support this bill because of the intention. The bill is also intended to facilitate the implementation of international conventions and treaties that have been ratified by Kenya. This will take us to another level. We will make our people proud of their culture And we will also make use of those old people who are there among us now so that they can bring the beauty. They can tell us what they know. Again, Honorable Speaker, I support this because this bill, in clause 4 of the bill, it sets out the guiding principle which include the national values and principles set out in Article 10, 27, 201, and 232 of the Constitution, and giving equal recognition, dignity, respect of all cultures, including cultures of minority or marginalized people. Honorable Speaker, this is where I belong. And for many years, we have been marginalized, we have remained minority, although we still uphold our beautiful cultures. And this bill, for the first time, has specifically mentioned us as a group so that our cultures, even if we are the minority, even if we have been marginalized for many years, our culture should also be recognized. And in recognizing that, we will have the feeling that we are part of this country. Honorable Speaker, for many years, those of us who live in northern Kenya have been referring to this part of the country as Kenya A, and those of us in Marsabit and beyond as people living in Kenya B. But by including us in such things and also recognizing our beautiful cultures, recognizing our forefathers, recognizing the heroes, recognizing the beautiful things that we do even in that part of the country, because God has given us one special gift, that we have beautiful people in northern part of Kenya. And with our beautiful culture, then we can add a lot of value to the country and our practices. Honorable Speaker, again, I support this because this bill, clause 5 to 19 of the bill, establishes the management of culture in Kenya and delineates the function of both the national and county government. I support this fully. And mine is just to say that our county governments should see how they can promote the different cultures, the cultural practices that are there, those that are harmful, like FGM, early marriages, inheritance of women. We can put that aside, but those good cultural practices should be enhanced, should be promoted, so that even our young people can have somewhere they can go and see the value of our cultures. Honorable Speaker, we need to finish the debate on this and make sure that our president will sign so that it can be practiced. And as we do that, we should think of Cultural Week in Africa, Cultural Week in Kenya, our cultural outfit, so that even when we come to Parliament, for that 1 week, we can be practicing.
The Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for this chance. Mr. Speaker, even on the onset, it's very important to discuss also the soft side of our country. The country we call Kenya, in the definition of it, Honorable Speaker, is just boundaries. And I'm saying so because many times we confuse between several things. One, what is the country, the republic, the nation, the government, and the state. Honorable Speaker, what we call a country is just by the boundaries that define where Kenya lies. The other functions, Honorable Speaker, that defines what the state is the state apparatus, Honorable Speaker, the institutions of governance, which predominantly are made on the institution that guarantee the rule of law and accountability, rule of law, of course, through the judiciary, accountability through democracy in a house like the legislature, and also a functional modern state, which then defines the executive. Honorable Speaker, many times you don't talk about what the nation is. the nation of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, I've talked about the country called Kenya. I've talked about the state which makes the apparatus of the institution of governance. Honorable Speaker, there is also something very fundamental called the nation. And the nation is the soft side of the country. Honorable Speaker, many times, even economically speaking, many countries actually progress when they have been able to align their culture. And Honorable Speaker, many times we confuse the culture and the language. That is only one side of what we call the nation, or a shared identity, or shared values. The soft side of the country, Honorable Speaker, encompasses and answers the question of who are we as a country, who are we as a citizenry. Honorable Speaker, one could be language, others could be shared values, others could be even our temperament, others could be our disposition as a people, because, Honorable Speaker, all these soft sides of what defines the people form what is called the culture. Honorable Speaker, in this modern era, it is beholden upon all of us. And that is why culture is always actually not static, Honorable Speaker. It is progressive and dynamic. It behoves all of us to look at the segments of our culture, which then brings identities that are static. Identities, Honorable Speaker, that then brings about fault lines in the relationships of the people. And that is why many countries, Honorable Speaker, have had many people with different cultures, but they came together to find an overarching culture, a shared value across. That is why a country like Switzerland is actually more fragmented in terms of ethnicities than Kenya. But when you look at it, it is more cohesive. A country like Tanzania, Honorable Speaker, is more fragmented in terms of ethnicities. But when you go to Arusha or Dar es Salaam, and you ask anyone which tribe you come from, the first thing they ask you is, are you Kenyan? Honorable Speaker, what I'm just trying to say is that it is important progressively. It may not happen very suddenly. Progressively, that for a country to actually thrive economically, they have to pull in one direction. And for a people to pull in one direction, they have to be the same people. That homogeneity of the people, Honorable Speaker, comes about by coming up with a culture that overacts and a culture that is shared across all people. People could be speaking different languages. People could be different even in their appearance, Honorable Speaker, but it is important, even for a country to thrive, that we pull in one direction. And for us to pull in one direction, we first of all have to deal with the fault lines. We have to deal, Honorable Speaker, with things that divide us and find an overarching culture and shared values that bring us together as a people. And upon that, Honorable Speaker, the beauty is that we always have a chance. As a country, we have a chance. As a continent, we have a chance, Honorable Speaker, so that we can define ourselves, Honorable Speaker, through an overarching identity, and an identity that which is not static, but which is fluid. Honorable Speaker, most of the static identities are the ones that pull people apart. For example, when you are born in a different, speaking in a different language, Honorable Speaker, many times, therefore, in that particular ethnicity you come from, you may never be able to change it in your lifetime. But, Honorable Speaker, also, another static identity that we always have to live with, Honorable Speaker, many times it comes as religion. Honorable Speaker, there are also other fundamentally static identities. But the current era, the modern age of nation building, Honorable Speaker, departs from those static identities and chaperones and comes up, Honorable Speaker, with a fluid identity where people can cross over. In the identities that are static, you can't cross over. But in a fluid identity that brings people together, it becomes a big bus where anyone can get in, Honorable Speaker, and it becomes an identity where anyone can cross over, Honorable Speaker, and feel they belong. And I believe that is what we must do as the leadership of our country, as the leadership of our continent, because I believe together as a continent, we are one people. We just have to fight that one commonality, because together, and especially as Africa, we are one people, Honorable Speaker. We must act as one people. We must pull in one direction so that our continent can actually have better days ahead. And even the same should percolate to the individual states, to the individual nations, Honorable Speaker, to the individual countries, so that we continue building a cohesive society. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. Sounds like the Hegelian philosophy or something of that type. Let's hear from Honorable Wilberforce Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to also lend a voice in support of the bill before us, the Culture Bill, which is a bill essentially to give effect to Article 11.3 of the Constitution of Kenya that calls for the protection and preservation of the culture of the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, culture espouses the entire life of the individual. Culture espouses is the glue that binds the individual to the community. And what is a community? Honorable Speaker, when you look at the bill, they attempt to define a community. And a community defines a culturally homogeneous and consciously distinct group of people who share any of the following attributes: common ancestry, similar cultural mode of livelihood or language, geographical space, ecological space, or community of interest. Honorable Speaker, Kenya is a case study of culture. Because, Honorable Speaker, you are aware, the so-called people who are in Kenya here are not the original occupiers of the space, the geographical space called Kenya. All of us migrated from somewhere and came to this country, and because of the colonial boundaries, we found ourselves in one space, one geographical space, delineated by us Kenya, reaffirmed in our Constitution 2010 as the space called Kenya. But truly speaking, Honorable Speaker, and I would want to challenge anybody who has a contrary opinion, and this bill seems to allude to something like a national culture. We can never have a national culture because we are completely different, but we can have a community of interest because we are bound together politically, we are bound together the instruments of the state, we are bound together by the monopoly of violence that's normally bestowed on the state to ensure that we remain together. It's therefore important, as we live in this country, we must appreciate the diverse culture of the people of Kenya. I say so, Honorable Speaker, I am a Samia, and the Samia people stride both Kenya and Uganda. We were simply separated by the colonial boundaries. So if you tell a Samia person to espouse the national culture of Kenya, what about the cultural integration that we have with our community, with our brothers and sisters, our cousins across the border? The same applies to the Somali community. If you tell them they must now discard the Somali culture and espouse the national culture, what happens to the Somalis in Somalia, Somalis in Djibouti, Somalians everywhere? The same applies to my neighbors, the Tesos. The same applies to Masais. Therefore, it is important in the drafting of this bill, and I want to echo the sentiments of KJ, when he says this bill is a generality. And even if you look at the drafting, Honorable Speaker, it would mean actually it will have almost 100 or so regulations, subsidiary legislation to put into effect to implement this bill. This also brings now, I can understand the difficulties the drafters faced. What is culture? What is culture? Is such a fluid statement, is an ever-changing target. The culture that was there when we started migrating here is no longer a culture that's tenable today. Some cultural practices have faded away, have to change by virtue of changing society. That's why, Honorable Speaker, as I'm not so sure to what extent amendments will be made to this bill to make sure that it fits. Again, if you look at the definition of culture, defines culture means the set of distinctive spiritual, material, intellectual, and emotional features of a community or a social group. Incapable